Our topic for today is all about right triangle congruence. We're going to determine if the two right triangles are congruent or not. Now, just like in regular triangles, there are postulates or theorems that we're going to use in order to determine if the right triangles are congruent. So the first theorem is what we call the leg or the LL. That's what we call leg theorem. Now, how do we use the leg theorem? We know that the triangles are have legs, hypotenuse, and the angles. Okay, so this is one of the legs of the triangle, and this is another leg of the triangle. So this is one leg one, and leg two. Now let's say these legs, the corresponding legs are congruent. All right. So therefore, we could say that these two triangles are congruent by leg theorem, or using the postulate, it's just the side angle and the side. Or the leg theorem is just equivalent to using the SAS postulate. Okay. Now, another postulate or another theorem for right triangle congruence is what we call the hypotenuse leg. Okay, now how do we consider or how do we determine if it's hypotenuse leg? From the name itself, we will be using the hypotenuse and the leg of the triangle. So, for example, this is our hypotenuse 1, and this is our hypotenuse 2. Okay, and if we're going to consider one leg here, so that's another leg, another leg. Now we could say that these two triangles are congruent by high leg theorem. So that's high leg theorem. Or it is also equivalent to saying or using the SSS postulate in of triangle congruence, because we know using Pythagorean theorem, if these two sides, the hypotenuse and the leg, are congruent with this, then these two legs are also congruent using Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so high leg theorem is just the SSS postulate. And the last theorem is what we call the high angle or the HA theorem. Okay, and the HA theorem tells us that we will be using the hypotenuse and one of the angles or acute angles of the triangle. So we have, oops, okay, so let's say we're using, we will be using this hypotenuse, oops, okay, this hypotenuse or the triangle. Let's try using this one. This hypotenuse and the angle here, okay, the acute angle, and hypotenuse and another angle here. So once we identified that the two right triangles have two corresponding sides or hypotenuse to be congruent and the acute angles to be congruent, then these two triangles are congruent by hypotenuse leg theorem. And what is the counterpart postulate or theorem of this HA or hypotenuse angle theorem in the regular triangle congruence? So let's verify. Side angle, angle, right? So if these two angles are congruent to this, then we could say that this angle, okay, let's use red, this angle is congruent to the next angle. Okay, again, if this angle is congruent to this angle, and we know that the right angles are congruent, and since the sum of the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees, therefore, this is congruent to this angle. So high hypotenuse angle theorem is just saying or using the angle side angle, where the side is the included side of the two given angles. Okay, So I hope it's clear. Again, the theorem that we will be using in right triangle congruence, the leg theorem, the high leg theorem, and the hypotenuse angle theorem. So let's use these theorems in the given example. We have, okay, let's take examples here. Let's have number 1. And we're going to state if the two triangles are congruent. And if they are, then we will be identifying the theorem that satisfies or that supports our claim that they are congruent. So let's check this. So we have a triangle here, and there is also a right angle here because it's perpendicular, and these sides are congruent, okay? And the hypotenuse is here, and the hypotenuse is here. So we're not talking about the hypotenuse here. So the side here is just equivalent to the leg, let's say leg 1 and leg 1. So we have leg, and the angle here, 90 degrees, and there's another leg here. We know that these two legs are, this leg is the common leg of two triangles, and they share the same leg. That's why these two legs of two triangles are congruent. So this is leg 2, and leg 2 is equal to leg 2 by reflexive property. So that's another leg. That's why these two triangles are congruent by leg theorem, or the side angle and the side, right? Side angle side, or the leg theorem, since we're talking about right triangle, okay? And let's have another example here. Let's go to example number 2. Example number 2 is here. Okay, now let's identify if these two triangles are congruent by the 3 theorems of right triangle congruence. So let's check this out. So we have hypotenuse, and another side or leg, and another leg. So this becomes high leg theorem, since these two triangles are right, as you can see here. Therefore, these two triangles are congruent using high leg theorem. I hope it's understood, okay? And let's go to example number 3. Let's find out. If you want to answer, you can pause the video and try to answer example number 3. Okay, and play or continue playing the video once you have the answer. And let's see if our answers are the same. Okay, now these two triangles are congruent because of this. Okay, so we have hypotenuse is equal to this hypotenuse, or they're congruent. And this angle is congruent to this angle as labeled. Okay, so we have hypotenuse angle theorem, or it is good as saying what? Angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. Why are these angles to be congruent? Because these two angles of the triangle are congruent, these two, and of course, these two angles of the triangle are congruent as well, since they're the sum of the angles 180 degrees. Okay, so by HA theorem, then these two triangles are congruent. All right, now let's go to example number 4. In number 4, we have this example. Let's see. Okay, let's find out. So we have here angle given, side, the hypotenuse. This is hypotenuse, and the angle, and the angle. And these triangles are right. So therefore, we could use hypotenuse angle theorem. And hypotenuse angle theorem is just good as saying angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle, right? So these two triangles are congruent, okay? Next, let's go to example number 5. Let's see if number 5 is has congruent triangles? Let's check this out. Okay, we have angle here, angle, and angle. Okay, and of course, we're not going to use the angles, the right angles here. So we have angle. And look at this. This side is the hypotenuse of this triangle and also the hypotenuse of this triangle. That's why this H is congruent to by itself because of reflexive property. So therefore, we could use the HA theorem. That's why these two triangles are said to be congruent. Okay, and let's find out if number 6 is or has congruent triangles. Let's see. Number 6. Okay, number 6, let's check this out. So these two triangles are congruent, as you can see. Sorry, these two triangles are right angles. So as you can see, they have right angles here. So we have angle and angle. What else? Oh, there are vertical angles. Therefore, there is another angle here, which is congruent to the angle here because of vertical angles. So let's say this is angle 1, angle 2, and angle 2. Now, there are no sides known to be congruent as labeled, right? There are no sides labeled to be congruent. So we have angle, angle, and the right angle here is angle still. But we don't have a theorem like us using the three angles of the triangle, or specifically the right triangle. So since we cannot use the HA, we cannot use the we cannot use the leg, we cannot use the HL or the high leg theorem. Therefore, we can say now that these two triangles are not congruent. Okay, and we can't even use the SSS because there are no sides, the SAS because there are no sides, the ASA because there are no sides. So therefore, these triangles are not congruent. Okay, any questions so far? All right, so that's it.